Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are building another base game only home. I am loving that I've been able to say that so often. Like at least in the past month or so, I think. I've done, I believe, maybe 5 base game homes. I've honestly lost count, but that's like absolutely unbelievable to me because I was one of those people where I thought that building with base game and actually having homes that looked fairly different, especially with like indoor decor styles, not necessarily the outside structure of a home. Anyway, I just really didn't think that base game could look good or look diverse, and I'm actually kind of surprising myself with the different things that I've been able to come up with. So this is another base game home, and I think I'm going to be calling it a cozy base game home. I'm really not sure. I don't really come up with original names for my structures. It's kind of a struggle point for me, but I really love this house. I was originally thinking that it was going to be in kind of a 4-square style, and then it just evolved into another suburban home. To be frank, I don't even really know if this is a particular architectural style, but the original idea was a 4-square, and then I really didn't like how it was looking. I just don't feel comfortable with that style quite yet, and I don't know why, but hopefully I can make a 4-square home in the future. But anyway, I really love this house. I especially love the exterior. I struggled a lot with the interior decorating, like so much. I don't keep a lot of it on camera because it took me hours to come up with a style that I liked on the interior, but the exterior I think is really simple, and I think it's really cute, and I kind of left it as more of a boxy home too, because I hear a lot of folks say I can only build a box, like I don't know how to make a good house in The Sims, and I wanted to make something that was literally just a few different squares and rectangles put together. That was pretty much my goal, is I was like, well, it's gonna be a very pretty box, I think, but a box nonetheless. And then I just kind of decorated it with landscaping and stuff. So know that if you're building a house and it's just a box, there are ways to make it really pretty, and just because it's a box doesn't mean that it won't be something absolutely amazing. So I would just say don't doubt yourself, but you can see now that we are working on the landscaping, and I've been doing this lately where I've been trying to stick to at least like 3 or 4 different plants and just using those throughout the landscaping surrounding a build, and especially just like on that same lot. And I decided to use the red flower boxes for the windows, and then I chose a shrub or a bush, I guess. I'm not really sure what you would categorize it as, but it was from the debug menu and it has like red flowers, so I thought it tied together really nicely. And I also, may not seem like a big deal, but I used a siding that had, I don't even know what you would call it, but basically there's the siding that is very flat and it doesn't have the corner trim, I guess is what I would consider it, but I used one with a corner trim here, and I used it not in a white swatch, which is wild for me. That's usually what I gravitate towards. Don't know why, but I decided to use the one that has kind of like a soft brown trim to it, and I thought it accented the roof really nicely because I used like this brown, I want to say they're actually like supposed to be wood shingles. I'm not really sure. The material doesn't matter, but there's a brown roof, so I thought it looked really nice. And now I'm in the debug menu trying to find some different fence pieces that I might want to use, but I don't end up actually keeping these. They just really weren't working with the style. None of the colors in my head really matched. Then I tried to use just a base game fence that we had, and I hated it. I hated it so very much, at least in the front yard. I do end up actually fencing in the backyard because this is a really big lot. I think this is where I built the traditional base game home that I had maybe a couple of weeks ago at this point. I'm losing track, but I built another base game home here, and I didn't realize how large the lot was, but I think the other home that I built was a bit bigger than this one, so there was a lot of yard space, which I was actually pleasantly surprised with. I typically underestimate how much room I actually need for a backyard if I want a few different activities, especially if I add landscaping. So I was actually really happy with the size of the backyard here. And then I tried to flesh out a different kind of looking path. These little stones here are found in the debug menu as well. And I just used kind of a dirt, I think it was actually a garden soil technically, a garden soil terrain paint to kind of flesh out a path just to make it look a little bit more natural. If that's correct. I'm not really sure if it looks more natural, but to me it kind of does compared to something that's paved or whatever. And then I worked on the landscaping in the backyard as well, just adding a few clumps of bushes and shrubs here and there, adding a few different trees and whatnot. And this is typically how I approach my builds at this point. I've kind of found a comfortable process for myself. I think it takes a while for builders maybe to kind of find their process and find their groove that works best for them. So for me, it's building the outside structure and usually finishing the backyard for the most part before I even go on to the interior, which is dangerous. And I'll explain why. It's dangerous because if you end up not being able to come up with a floor plan that you like on the interior and you want to change the outside structure, you then have to change maybe some of your landscaping and other things that you've done, which kind of stinks. But, you know, I lucked out here. And there I was actually trying to make like a faux little hopscotch area for a child, but it really didn't look good with that fence. The fence was too high, it wasn't low level enough. And since this was only base game, we didn't really have a fence that I thought would work. I think there was one, I think it's from Get to Work. There's like a really low-lying fence that I used to maybe divide off some tiled areas with wood flooring and kitchens more often than not. That probably would have worked great to make a faux little hopscotch area, but it's base game only, so I couldn't use it. And then I also give them a pool. I did struggle a bit with kind of which aspect of the backyard to kind of pave around because I did want there to be some grass areas, but I do end up using some terrain paint to make it a little bit more earthy. So again, I use this garden soil terrain paint to kind of flesh out underneath not the swing set, that's not base game, the monkey bars, as well as the little outdoor table. And I add some outdoor lights, which sometimes I forget to do. So I'm glad I actually remembered to do it here. And there's also some gardening plots outside. In any of the base game homes that I make, you'll likely see gardening plots outside because we don't really have any other outside activities aside from like pools. We have the gardening plots. I think there's like the woodworking bench and anything else outside. Not really. I mean, there's the monkey bars for kids and like the playground equipment. I think we have hot tubs and stuff too, but I'm not a huge fan of hot tubs in The Sims, so I don't usually add them. And now we're on to the interior, starting to figure out the floor plan, which you guys are seeing my 6th attempt. I kept track. I kept track as to how many attempts it took to get a floor plan that I actually liked. It was really challenging. I did have to move maybe a window or two upstairs, and this is why I said it was dangerous because I almost had to change the outside structure in a way I didn't want to because I couldn't figure out a floor plan. So I'm lucky I figured one out. And the interior of this home is just very cozy, which is why I think I'm going to call it a cozy base game home. I think it's really comfortable. It's reasonably bright, so it's very inviting. But there are also a lot of neutral colors, some deeper wood colors, and yet there's white wood as well and kind of that cream wood colors. I don't know. It's just, I think it's very inviting, very comfortable, and it seems very lived in my opinion. And that's always a great achievement in my head for base game because it can be very challenging to make a home look really lived in with base game because we're limited on artwork and like wall decorations and clutter items. But thank goodness for the debug menu. That is pretty much what saves base game homes, at least in my opinion, because it allows us to add a lot of significant clutter that we wouldn't normally have. But this living room I thought was really nice. I was really glad that I used a fireplace. I try to add fireplaces a lot to my builds, but what I struggled with, and I talked about this in Discord, I literally was like, I can't pick a couch. I feel personally attacked by the couches in base game. I just do. I don't like them. The one that I ended up using here is actually only available if you use cheats because it is a career unlock item. And that stinks because it's the only quote unquote normal looking couch compared to the others. We have like super modern couches. We have really fancy Victorian looking couches. And that's it. Like we really don't have that much. So using that couch in my base game homes is typically what I do. And I was really struggling with pairing it with the armchairs that I used because they're a bit more, not even industrial. I think I consider them almost industrial looking or a little bit more rustic only because they are basically like a crate that has been turned into a couch or a chair. At least that's what it seems. So I was hesitant to kind of mix that there, but I think it worked out okay because it comes together and it looks as though someone just didn't get, a furniture set. They just got furniture as they could, and it kind of pieced together okay. But we're already on to the dining room, which I really did love the dining room. It's very simple. It does look a little bit crammed, though I did playtest this, and my sim was able to get to every chair. However, the chairs that are basically have their backs to the windows, they had to go from one chair to the other, and then they had to go back the same way that they sat down to be able to get out of the room. So there were a few different routing issues. So just be aware of that if you have, 4 or more Sims in a household, especially if you use this home. There might be some routing issues, but it does work. It does work, and that's, I think, important. And now moving on to the kitchen, which I've always loved decorating kitchens. They're probably one of my favorite rooms to decorate aside from kids' rooms. And I really like this kitchen. It is no different. I really like a lot of my kitchens. It's rare that I feel as though it's difficult to get through a kitchen decoration, but this kitchen was really nice. It was a decent size, and I was able to get some different appliances in here. So they actually have a microwave and a coffee maker and a dishwasher. I remembered a dishwasher, and I am quite proud of myself because I often forget to give my Sims dishwashers, and then I get irrationally mad when they're washing their dishes in the sink and it takes longer than I'd like, which is ridiculous because I could just drag and drop the dishes to the sink as well and not have them do it, but I try to play in a realistic way, so I want them to do their chores. Anyway, the kitchen I think is really cozy and cute. I put the pots over here on the wall, and then there's actually a small little, what I would call maybe a breakfast table. There's a small little table in the center of the kitchen with just 2 chairs, so maybe this is where parents or even kids, doesn't matter, anyone can sit there maybe in the morning having coffee or cereal or something, read the newspaper. Gosh, do you guys read the newspaper anymore? Do you even get a newspaper? I never got a newspaper. Maybe I got the town newspaper. Yeah, we often got the town newspaper tossed at the end of our driveway or something, but I think the last time I physically read a newspaper was actually a couple of weeks ago. Again, we got the neighborhood or the city newspaper or whatever in our mailbox, and I actually read through it, and I felt like a contributing member to my community. It was amazing. I actually knew what was going on. But anyway, that just shows my age that we used to get newspapers, and now a lot of them have died out, and we are working on the bathroom. I don't know what's gotten into me today, but this bathroom is very simple. I'm honestly not a huge fan of it because I was just trying to find things that looked okay together. And this bathroom, I think it was this one in particular, I just didn't like this one because there's no windows. I couldn't have put a window there on that wall where I just tried to put the painting because there was a column right in the center of it, and it would have looked really, really weird. So I didn't have a window in that bathroom, which kind of bothered me. But then we are moving on to the upstairs, which that was the main struggle. So like I mentioned, I did have to move a window or 2 on the back of the build, but it still, in my opinion, looks fine. And I also had to use kind of a diagonal wall to ensure that there was access to all the different rooms without one having to go through one room to get to another, if that makes any sense. And there's also a full bathroom upstairs, which of course was needed because downstairs is only a half bath, but at least having 2 toilets in a build I think is really good. Even if you don't end up with 2 full bathrooms, having at least a half and a full is really, really nice, especially if you have more than 3 Sims in a family or something. And I was picturing this family as having only 1 child. I don't know if they had a son or a daughter. Again, it does not matter whatsoever. I just decorated the kids' room in a fun, playful, cluttered way, as I typically do. And it was the first room that I worked on upstairs as well. I tried to diversify the wallpapers a little bit. I used the same wallpaper throughout the entire build, but I just chose different swatches. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised. I forgot that this wallpaper was base game. So when I happened upon it in the catalog, I was ecstatic, and I knew that I was going to be using it in the entire build because it was just enough of a mixture of that traditional look that we have with base game and some of those items, and also just a little bit more rustic with the paneling, in my opinion. I could just be labeling things inappropriately, but that's how I kind of perceived it, which is why I liked the look of the interior so much. But I am cluttering up the wardrobe here, and there is just that little bear armchair that I adore. There's also a dollhouse and a bookcase, and I think a couple of miscellaneous toys that are on some of the shelves or on top of the wardrobe. And I just clinked my coffee mug. Hopefully you didn't hear it. But I do put some of these really cute shelves over the bookcase as well as the bed. And like I said, I cluttered up with a few decorations. I used the Baby Yoda statue. I think it's technically a statue, not a toy, in the game. And I finally used it again in a build. I hadn't used it in so long. I don't know why I always forget about it, but I thought it was a nice addition since I don't use it a lot. And then this is going to be the parents' bedroom, and I think it is really pretty. It's very, very soft, very warm. I love yellow. It's my favorite color ever, and I just love how it looks with blue. I believe they're complementary colors, if my memory is serving me correctly. And I just love this room so much. That has become my favorite base game bed, and I don't know when it happened, but it just crept up on me, and all of a sudden, I love it. So I use it a lot in my base game builds now. And then the other room, even though it could be a bedroom, so take note of that if you do end up using this home for anything, there is 2 bedrooms. There are 2 bedrooms at the moment, but the other room ends up being a small office, which you could absolutely change into another room if you wanted to. So if you had a family and you decided that they wanted to have another child, that could absolutely be another bedroom. It would be a little bit small, maybe a little bit cramped as that child did get older, but it would work great for like a nursery, a toddler room, even a kid's room if you wanted to. And then this is going to be the full bathroom. It is very similarly decorated to the one downstairs. There is just the shower tub combo and this little like elephant waste bin, just because that's what the kid uses too, and I thought it was cute. And then this is going to be the office where they have a computer and a little armchair. I think there might just be a plant in the corner, no additional bookcase, and that is actually pretty much it for the build. So I hope you guys did enjoy this one. I am hoping to continue to do more base game homes because I really want my builds to be accessible to those who don't have all the packs. But let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different, still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments, doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors, they kinda tell me what I'm thinking. I fell in love with the way we are and the way we lose it. There's something different about us, and the reason why we stay. We fly around like paper planes, they never know where we will fall. Nobody can see us, still they wanna tear us apart. There's something different about the way we are. There's something different about us. There's something different about us. We're pouring cup after cup after cup. Yeah, it's just the way we do it. Anything just to block out the real life, real life. Yeah, we're loving the way they think we're so messed up. Even if what we're doing is bad, there's so many emotions, sharing stories that we never had yet.